Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Zero Hour. You know, I don't want to relitigate the painful debates of the past couple of weeks since the horrific slayings in Paris, but I will say this. I am a little discouraged at the way in which this tragedy is being used by people all across the religious and political spectrum to beat a drumbeat that could easily lead us deeper and deeper into the morass of war and conflict. Now, what came to mind as I read the headlines this week and as I heard the war talk from the right and found an absence of coherent counter dialogue, certainly from the liberals on the left, what came to mind most of all were the words of a poem by William Butler Yeats called 1919. Now, you may know William Butler Yeats from his famous poem, The Second Coming, but 1919 is also one worthy of reflecting on. It is, of course, written in memory of the horrific events of World War I, and he said in it, among other things, "Now days are dragon-ridden, the nightmare rides upon sleep. A drunken soldiery, that is soldiery, can leave the mother murdered at her door to crawl in her own blood and go scot-free." How many times do you think in the past 2 weeks, as we reflected upon the horror inflicted by terrorists, have we reflected on the terror we have inflicted on others and sworn not to do it again? Now, instead, as William Butler Yeats wrote, "We who once talked of honor and of truth shriek with pleasure if we show the weasel's twist, the weasel's tooth." Somehow it's a matter of showing we are superior to the other, as if that were ever a question, as if our standards were so low that we only had to be better than terrorists to be a decent society. I hold us to be better than that. And I hold us better. Look, satire and mockery are an integral part of free speech, and I will defend it, as you will, I know, until the death. But are we only that? Again, the words of William Butler Yeats, "Come, let us mock at the great, that had such burdens on the mind, and toiled so hard and late, to leave some monument behind, nor thought of the leveling wind. Come, let us mock at the wise, with all those calendars whereon they fixed old aching eyes they never saw, how seasons run, and now but gape at the sun. Come, let us mock at the good, that fancied goodness might be gay, and sick of solitude might proclaim a holiday. Wind shrieked, and where are they?" Is that who we've become? Yeats went on, mockers after that would not lift a hand maybe to help good, wise, or great, to bar that foul storm out, for we traffic in mockery. Folks, I would like to believe, and I do believe, that we are more than mockery, that mockery has a great place in our society. I'm a huge fan of Stephen Colbert. I'm a huge fan of Jon Stewart. I'm a huge fan of the great satirists when they are being great, but they are not perfect. We are not perfect. None of us are perfect. We need to be more than just mockery. We need to be more than just satire. I gotta tell you, I am absolutely sick to death of irony. I don't want irony anymore. These are not the days for irony. These are not the days for ironic distance. These are not the days for distance of any kind. These are the days to be embarrassingly passionate about what you believe. Now, I know we've been told that that's an awkward position to find oneself in. It's much easier to mock everyone, to mock the good, to mock the mockers, to mock the wise, to bar that foul storm out, for we traffic in mockery. It's much easier to traffic in mockery, but folks, I'll tell you, there's a place for mockery, and there's a place for sincerity, and there's a place for honesty, and there is a place for love. I don't think Jon Stewart would disagree. I don't think Stephen Colbert would disagree. Bill Maher might, but he's in. So what do we do in the time remaining to us on this planet, in the time remaining to us to save this planet, in the time remaining to us to figure out what we can do to make this a better world for those who follow all embarrassingly mockable goals? How do we achieve them? I would say the ancient principle stays as true as it ever was. We begin by looking at ourselves. We begin by looking at the deeds we tacitly or overtly support, as well as the deeds of others. Of course, we must stop terror. Of course, we must stop terrorism. Of course, we must speak up against these barbarities. But what are we doing about the soldier who shoots down the mother? What are we doing about the Blackwater representatives who go mad in a public square? What are we doing about torture and the torture report? Until we repudiate that, we have no right to ask other people to repudiate their own extremists. It's time we cleaned our own house. It's time we looked at our own souls. It's time we stood up for the people we can be and should be. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.